to have fallen out. It's a lovely MEG bill.
Lucky
Absolutely. There doesn't seem to be a music stand.
Yeah, I've got one here.
There's one here if you want it.
I think you should do half an hour.
What have you just do
For me.
Just talk amongst yourselves.
I've got a music stand here
We've got
for
some
her.
here. Is it half?
I'll put my book here, I'll be fine, thanks. Honestly, don't worry. Too much I want to print it together.
It's here.
No, look,
It's
it's
up.
it's put together.
Fine.
Put it together. It's
There it is.
Accept.
It's
like
out.
a flower, like a beautiful flower.
We'll come
It's
back round
open
the
like
back.
a
We can come
flower.
back in the back way.
It pinches your fingers.
If I can get
You
the
don't
bonnet
have
to
the
go
same
there.
breakfast.
Send it up and we'll do
There,
the rest, I think, probably safer.
Thank you.
Ross,
Thank
tell us
you.
the way that you can tell us if it's safe to come in.
We just need to get a leg down.
It ran. Yeah, you could command the oceans from there. And all the little fishies.
I like that. I sing that to the kids, but I didn't know it was a...
Do you know who the most famous
There's-
person
there's-
that ever sang that song?
There's
Yes.
a lot of, probably Bill
no, it wasn't. Spencer Tracy.
Spencer Tracy sang
And
it
he's a
to
captain.
Freddie Bartholomew.
Yes, and he sings it in the movie. You can see the video clip on YouTube.
Anyway,
Yes.
that's a very, there are different versions of that, and it's gone down as an Australian folk song.
I has, yes.
And, now, do you want to?
Yeah, oh, I'll probably need help just when I get insecure.
Tighten it up.
Ever had that sinking feeling?
No, it's fine.
Are you sure then? You won't? Let's just.
You just got to tighten it up.
Oh, this better be worth your while, eh? Oh, sorry.
This is coming off your tongue.
He's got more time than anybody else. Wonderful storyteller and singer and just general fascinating to listen to. So settle down for the next half hour and enjoy the performance by Meg Bill.
I've just come back from a trip to Scotland. For some reason, I decided I had to see autumn in Scotland. You can tell from my accent that I have some ties to the place, but it was interesting to go back after quite some time and see it. I had a couple of North American friends with me, and I had to be the translator of odd signs like Langmeg and Lamerick, and strange food like macaroni pies, and Robert Burns. Who is he? So I'm kind of fond of him, but since I had to do a bit of research about him, I'm even fonder. I sing one of his songs, which is called No Western Winds, and I did a little bit of research about it and about Robert Burns. I mean, he was a bit of a lad. You think Paul Dark's hot? Well, Robbie Burns lived the lot. He only lived to 37, but he packed a lot in. And when I say that, he actually wrote 390 songs in his
Most of
lifetime.
which were unprintable.
No, not at all. Not for Scots, they weren't. And they became part of the Scottish national canon. And compared with Pete Seeger, who I love dearly, who only managed about 160 in his lifetime. All good though. It's interesting to think of that time. I didn't realise that he was well educated. He was sent to a school. He lived at the same time as Goethe and a couple of other famous people who wrote very influential things like Goldsworthy and whatever. And one of the things that I found was about the first time he wrote that song that I'm about to sing called No Western Wings. He wrote it when he was 17. And the girl in the song, Peggy dear, was Peggy Thompson. And he writes, I spent my 17th summer on a smuggling coast, Ayrshire, a good distance from home, lucky, at a noted school to learn measuration, surveying, dialling, etc. I went on with a high hand in my geometry till the sun entered Virgo, a month which is always a carnival in my bosom, and a charming young woman, who lived next door to the school, overset my trigonometry and set me off in a tangent from the sphere of my studies. And this is the song. Now westling winds and slaughtering guns, I think it might be a little bit more, bring autumn's pleasant weather. The moorcock springs on whirring wings among the blooming heather. Now waving grain wild o'er the plain delights the weary farmer. And the moon shines bright as I rove at night to muse upon my charmer. The partridge loves the fruitful fells, the plover loves the mountain, the woodcock haunts the lonely dells, the soaring hern the fountain. Through lofty groves the cushat roves, the path of man to shun it. The hazel bush o'erhangs the thrush, the spreading thorn the linnet. Thus every kind their pleasure finds, the savage and the tender. Some social join and leagues combine, some solitary wander. Avant away the cruel sway, tyrannic man's dominion, the sportman's joy, the murdering cry, the fluttering gory pinion. But Peggy dear, the evening's clear, thick foul eyes the skimming swallow. The sky is blue, the fields in view, all fading green and yellow. Come, let us stray our gladsome way, and view the charms of nature, the rustling corn, the fruiting thorn, and every happy creature. We'll gently walk and sweetly talk till the silent moon shines clearly. I'll grasp thy waist and fondly pressed swear how I love thee dearly. Not vernal showers to blooding flowers, nor autumn to the farmer, say dear can be as thou to me, my fair, my lovely charmer. Say dear can be as thou to me, my fair and lovely charmer. As I say, I'm very fond of Burns. I did a lot of explaining about his love life. And really, you can't blame him for that. At the time that he was living, he made the best of it. He had a high old time in Edinburgh. And just a few years after his publication of the Kilmarnock edition of his poems, he died from overwork. He had a weak heart due to rheumatics, which he caught as a child. But the songs that he wrote filled the Scots heart. He became more famous for his songs than his poems, although we all know his poems like To a Mouse, or I do anyway. And everybody sings Auld Lang Syne. And he became every man, according to my father. My father thought he was great, you know, hard-working, honest, handsome. Really, his songs are about freedom and independence. And they've taken a new light, especially with the Scottish independence situation that's going on. But I'm shifting away now. I'm going to Ireland. This is for you, there, sir, who asked me to tell me the stories I've said before. I hate to repeat myself, but this is the first story that I ever told here, and it goes something like this. Cormac MacArt, son of Con of 100 Battles, was High King of Ireland and lived there at Tara. There had been some skirmishes, it was fighting times. He did the best he could, but on this sunny day as he looked outside the palisade, he saw his people moving through the little fair that was down below on the hill, and he thought to himself, we've got troubles ahead. And as he watched though, he saw a young man walking down the middle of all the stalls where the people were selling things, and he seemed to be carrying something that was shining. So, surely not a sword, no. And as he looked, Cormac saw the young man stop to people, old folk who were bent with age, who suddenly straightened up. And soft words were spoken here and there, and there was laughter drifted back up to Cormac. Everybody seemed to quieten down. The hubbub of the fair just faded to a peaceful buzz. And as the young man came forward towards the gate, Cormac saw that he was carrying a great shining branch with 9 apples of red on it. And when he shook that branch, the people that he did it to seemed to smile and open up. Cormac called to him, "Hey, boy, is that branch yours?" "It is," came the reply. "Will you sell it to me?" "If you give me what I ask," said the young man. "Well," said Cormac, "I'll have it." And the young man said, "Well, I'll have your wife, your son, and your daughter." Well, said like that in front of witnesses, Cormac could do nothing. His wife and daughter and son were so heartbroken at this sudden turn of events, and the courtiers, the people around, oh, the heaviness in the air. But Cormac took the branch and waved it over his wife and children, and waved it over the men who were standing round, and everybody relaxed and were at peace. And he watched as his wife and children turned and walked off, just walked away, following a little path led by the young man. And he took the branch, and he found it was a magical branch. For anyone who was sick would be instantly healed, and whatever ailed them, heart sorrow, rheumatics, they seemed to get new life simply by shaking the branch. So there came a time when there was a great ease in the court, and for once there was no fighting. A year to the day, Cormac said to his men inside the palisade, "A year ago, I lost my wife and my son and my daughter. I'm going to go find them." Oh, they said, "Oh, sir, we'll come with you." He said, "No, I will go alone. And we'll get you home." "No, no horse. I will go alone and find what I must find." So his men watched him walk off down the hill of Tara. And Cormac was determined. He knew not where to go, but he just had a feeling it was this way. And as he went and got out of sight, a dark, magical mist gathered around him. He began to feel fear, but no, he squashed it down. And he walked on determinedly. And as he walked, the mist cleared somewhat, and as he stared there over to the east, he saw a crowd of horsemen, surely not battle ready. No, they were galloping, and he saw them gallop and stop in front of a house, a little cottage that had bare roof rafters showing. And the horsemen dismounted, and they climbed ladders, and they started. As he got closer, they were thatching the roof, not with sheaves leaves or briars, but with feathers. Feathers of foreign birds, colours of every kind. And soon, it was a great kaleidoscope of colour and shape. And the young men got down and got onto their horses and galloped off. And they no sooner galloped off than a wind came and blew all the feathers from the roof. And when the men came galloping back in with more feathers, they had to start at the beginning again. Cormac wondered at this. He didn't know what it meant or what was happening. These men and horses didn't seem to notice him. He was apart from them all. And he walked on, wonderingly. And as he walked on and came more to the west, the mist cleared again and he saw a young man dragging a huge branch, almost a tree. And he was dragging it to a clearing where obviously there had been a fire, there was ash, and as he drove it, pulled it there, he laid it in, it burst into flames, and he went off to get another branch to build the fire, but he no sooner left it than it burned up in fury and was gone. So the young man just kept dragging great branches and putting them on the fire. Cormac didn't understand this. But it was when he saw the wells that he was the most confused. He came to a place on the plain, a great and fertile plain, where there were 3 wells, and each had a head with a mouth. And when he went up to the wells, he thought he might drink, but no. What struck him was how different they were. The first well had a stream flowing into it, and out of the mouth of the well came one flow. The second well had one stream coming into it, but out of the mouth came one, but there was one flipping back and going back in again. And the third head of the well had one stream coming in, and 3 streams poured from its mouth. It was a wonder. What? He had no idea what it could mean, but he knew he was in a strange land, and there was magic to it. So when he saw a house with a light in the window, a little thatched cabin, and smoke coming out the chimney, he knew he had to go. He knocked on the door and was welcomed in and went into the simple cabin, and there sat on either side of the fire was a tall, thin man, and obviously his wife on the other side, for they both wore the same multicoloured clothes. They were dressed strangely, but welcome enough, and sat him down by the fire, and the wife said, "Husband, go get some food. And Cormac thanked the wife and said who he was, and his name was Cormac, and the wife was about to continue talking when in came the husband with a hog, a whole giant hog, and threw it in front of the hearth, in front of Cormac and the wife, and a log, a giant log. And he said, there's meat, cook it and eat it. And Cormac says, I don't know how to cook it. Oh, said the man, it's easy. You take this log, you cut it into quarters, you take the hog, you cut it into quarters, you put a piece of the log under each quarter, and you have to tell a story. If it's true, it'll be cooked, that quarter. If it's not true, it won't cook. You tell a story first, said the husband of the house. Cormac said, oh, I don't know. Could you tell a story? Fine, he said, I'll tell a story. I have 7 hogs like that. And you know, the wonder of it is that they could feed the whole world. Because you see, all I have to do when we're finished is take the bones from this hog and put it into the sty over the wall, and the next morning I go back, there's a hog, hale and hearty, full of life. Back to life again. Cormac looked at him, and looked at the quarter of the hog, and saw it was cooked. Truly, he said. Yes, said the man. And the wife said, I'll tell a story next. I've got 7 milk cows, white they are, pure as the snow. And you know, they give so much milk, they can fill a cauldron every day. And if all the women and children of the world were to come onto the plain, they would have enough milk to last them forever. Cormac shook his head and then looked. That quarter was cooked. Oh, truly, he said. And then it was his turn, and he simply said that his name was Cormac and told him what had happened to his wife and children, and how he'd come looking for them. And the husband said, "You must be Cormac, son of Art, son of Con of the 100 Battles." "I am," said Cormac. "Well," and the young man stood up, and suddenly he stood there, and it was one of the famous leaders of the fairy cavalcade in Ireland, Manannán Clare. "Oh," he said, "it was I who brought you here. I was the one with the fairy branch. I was the one who took your wife and child because I had to have you here. It's time for something, for you. Now, let's have something to eat." Cormac said, "Well, I'm not used to eating with just two people." And Manannán said, "Would you eat with 3 more? Cormac paid attention. 3 more, he said. 3 particular more I would certainly eat with. Door opens and in comes his wife and his son and his daughter, and they hug and they just rejoice at being reunited. They sit down and, "Let's eat then," says the wife. Cormac said, "Before we eat though, I need to know. I have seen wonders and I may never get the chance again. Please tell me of the wonders that I saw, Manannán. Please tell me what they meant." "Oh," I said, yes, of course." He said, "You know, those young horsemen feathering the roof, thatching it with feathers, they're like people who are always going off out into the world, having big adventures and, travelling lots, and they're away so much that when they come back, their homes are bare. There's nothing there, so they have to go again and travel and spend all their time overseas, so travelling." "Ah," said Cormac. "And the young chap with the branch that never seemed to quench the fire?" "Ah," he said, "that's like people who work for others. They work for others and it's hard and heavy going, and they work so hard, but they never have time to sit by the fire and enjoy their labours." "Oh," said Cormac. "And the wells?" "Ah," said Manannán, "well, that's like 3 kinds of people. The first kind give a little. They give a little. The second kind, well, the ones with some get some, but they give a lot. But the worst kind is those who get enough, but don't really give it and take it back." "Oh," said Cormac. "Well, it's time to eat," said Manannán. "Look," and he spread this wonderful tablecloth. Imagine it, if you will. Beautiful fabric, beautiful texture. Are there pictures on it? The children looked at it, and Manannán said, "This is a magic tablecloth. You just have to think of the most delicate food that you fancy, and it will appear here before you. Whatever meat you would like, whatever drink," he said. And he pulled a goblet from his belt. "This goblet," he put on his pan, "this goblet," he said, "if a lie is told in front of it, it will split into quarters. It's a true story that'll put it back together again." And of course you know about the fairy branch. So, everybody sat in front of the table and magically these foods that they really craved appeared there in front of them. Beautiful, succulent, fresh. And whatever drink they could possibly wish for came out of the goblet. And they ate well, and they laughed together, and when they were finished, couches were brought out that they might rest after their meal. And they fell into a sweet, soft slumber. And when they awoke, they were back on the hill of Tara. Cormac, his wife and his children, everybody gathered round them and welcomed them back. And you know, in that kingdom, things changed. Because Cormac had been to Fairy, his reign was the most peaceful and the longest of any of the kings in ancient Ireland, thanks to the gifts of the Lord of the Fairy Cavalcade. 5 more minutes. See, that's one. Okay. This is a silly one. There you look. You've been very good. You've been listening. Once upon a time, there was a king who had a daughter. She was beautiful, but on her 18th birthday, things happened. She got up out of bed, and the bed melted under her touch. She walked across the room in her royal nightie, and when she got to the door handle, it melted. It seemed that anything, cloth or metal or wood, when she touched the wood, it melted. So she was able to call for help. And the king, when he heard the news and stopped her crying, said, what is wrong? And she explained anything she touched, metal, wood, just melted. Oh, well, the men who heard about this were afraid of her. They would never marry her. The king was beside himself. How? He got all his court magicians together, asked wizards, and eventually one of them said, if the princess can touch one object and it doesn't melt, then she will be cured forever. Well, word got out, and 3 princes came to the castle gate. The first one, he came up, met the princess, and the king and queen watched anxiously, and he took from a box a piece of shining metal, the hardest metal that had ever been made. It was probably titanium, something from the space shuttle. Anyway, he put it forward, but when she touched it, it just melted away. The second one had a bigger box, and when he opened the lid, took it out, it was a diamond as big as your head. He took it out, and he held it up, thinking, this is the hardest substance. She won't be able to melt this. When she touched it, it melted. The third prince just came up and stood beside her, and he said to her, in front of her mother and father, put your hand in my pocket. Well, she went bright red. People tittered around, but she did it. And when she put her hand in her pocket, she felt something, and she brought it out, and it worked. It hadn't melted. It was M&M's, because after all, M&M's only melt in your mouth.
Well, now, Sherry has made supper for us. For those who don't come regularly, we have a free supper, and that's provided by a group of us who are on our roster system. So if you haven't put your $2 in the tin yet, please do so. If you want tea and coffee, it's up the top, as you know. Just pop $1 in there. Go out and enjoy your supper, and in 20 minutes I will start ringing bells. Again, for triangles anyway. And then we have 3 more wonderful performers for you.
There you go.
It's not ready.
Are you?
Did I do a better job at the start?
It's not as bad as it was a moment ago.
So she's short.
It's dry, that one. Get out and move around outside.